I'm TJ McLaughlin, talking about nature's God. So I've been trying to make sense of things, make sense of the world for a long time now. And recently, I had this epiphany about nature's God. Now, with all the different gods there are in the world that people believe in, people of different religions believe in, how do we know? How can we tell which is the real God? How do you know that the God you believe in is the real God? And there are other religions who believe the same thing. Their God is the real God. Just a matter of belief. Now, most of us, I think, have an intuitive sense that there is a God. But we don't really know, we can't really know exactly who or what God is. We have different ideas about what God is. We have different images based on our cultural aspects. Yeah, we have different ideas based on all these particular cultural aspects that have arisen in one region or another. But all those differences stem from a shared intuition about the existence of God. So all our images of God, all our different beliefs, all our concepts, all our different concepts of God, all spring from the same shared intuition. Now, the universe began about 13 billion years ago, and the planet Earth is about 5 billion years old. So the Creator was not in such a big hurry for the formation of our planet to occur. And it was billions of years after that that our species appeared on the planet. So God, the Creator, whatever God the Creator is, was around for a long time before we ever came on the scene. And it did not seem that the Creator was overly anxious for our appearance on this planet. Now, and then, so we make our appearance, and right away we start imagining different gods. Start imagining what God might be. We ask questions like, where did we come from? How did we get here? Where did we come from? How did we get here? Why are we here? And what happens to us after we die? We didn't have the answers. We didn't have the answers, really. We didn't know, so we made things up. And so whatever God the Creator is, has very little to do with how any one of us might imagine God to be. God is whatever God is. God always was, always will be. Regardless of our sporadic temporal images, temporal concepts of God throughout our history and our prehistory. regardless of the cultural concepts of God that differentiate one belief in God from another, there's something that all the different gods that we believe in have in common. When we strip away all the various cultural concoctions that define God as separate entities from one another, we find that all the various gods that we believe in fall into the category of the Creator. And in essence, we all believe in the same God. The one and the same God. The only God that can be the Creator. We all believe in the God as the Creator. There can only be one Creator. And therefore, when we say we believe in God as the Creator, we must all believe in the same God. We came about as a result of God's creation. And that's all we can really know about God is that God is the Creator. That's all we can really know about God. That is the Creator. God is the Creator. And there's only one Creator. And we all believe in the God as the Creator. So there's no other God to believe in. The only God to believe in is the Creator. So again, we all believe in the same God. The one and only God. So imagine God as a river. Imagine God as this river, and this river is a huge river, and this river has tributaries. Has these tributaries on either side, and up and down the river there are these tributaries. And all these tributaries are isolated, and people settle along these tributaries, and they regard these tributaries as a river, and they think of these tributaries, these rivers, as sacred, because they are givers of life. They provide water and food. So all the different settlers on these along these tributaries imagine their river god as having certain characteristics, certain attributes, and they all imagine different concepts of their river god, and they think they're different gods, but they're all part of that one God. They're all part and parcel of the one God, the one river God. So it's kind of like what it is. It's like what it is with what we believe in God. It's all part of one God. All our different versions of God are really about just one God, the Creator. And that God is nature's God. Nature's God because nature's God is not part of any religion. It doesn't belong to any one religion. It's the God of all religions that believe in God as the Creator of the universe. Now, when we say we believe in God as the Creator, then I would suppose that means that we accept the world as God created it. But religions have been known to reject the world as God created it. For instance, the Church of Rome in 1616, around 1616, refused to accept that the sun was at the center of our solar system. In spite of the evidence afforded by Galileo's telescope, the Church refused to accept the heliocentric view of the solar system. It took 100 years for them to accept it, when it finally became untenable for the Church to continue promoting the Earth at the center. So the Church finally had to accept the world as God created it. So the conflict between science and religion has to do with the reluctance of religious institutions to accept the world as God created it. Science reveals the world the way in which God created it. We used to think that objects fell to earth because of their weight. But science has shown that objects themselves have no weight. They have mass, and the force of gravity is what gives them weight, according to their mass. So we used to think that objects had weight and the Earth was at the center of the solar system until science revealed what was really going on. What we refer to as science is really just the extension of our senses by instruments such as microscopes and telescopes that enable us to see the world as it is, not how it appears to be to the naked eye. We did not know that infections and diseases were caused by bacteria and viruses until they were seen through microscopes. Sometimes intense, detailed, objective, naked eye observations are all that's needed to discover the way in which the world actually works, the way in which God created it. Darwin developed a theory of evolution just that way. And it was later confirmed, the theory of evolution was later confirmed by the microscopic revelation of the genetic code. Religions resist, if not downright reject, the evolutionary way of life, the evolutionary view of life, which contradicts the creation scenario of various religions, various religious institutions. But again, science reveals the world in the way God created it. And to reject evolution is to reject the world that God created. I mean, could it possibly be that the world turned out differently from the way in which God wanted to create it? That doesn't seem likely. But denying, isn't that the position that religions are taking by denying the evolution of life? That the world was somehow created differently from what God intended it to be? If evolution was not part of God's design, then how could it have happened? Observing the world as it is, as God created it, is not a refutation of God, but it can be a refutation of some particular religious beliefs. Science separates the Creator from some particular religious beliefs, but does not and cannot refute the existence of God. And by presenting the world as God created it, science brings our belief in God as the Creator into focus, as the God that all believers in God believe in. Nature's God.